How many children to do this year? The Queen Quet coming to Hunter Live one more again for Gullah Geechee TV. Well, great God, Hunter children, look who dare y'all. Now, Hunter children might done see that picture and think if Hunter the day upon the Gullah Geechee Nation Facebook fan page, long time back. Then Hunter the Yeti Gullah Geechee Rhythm Radio and you Yeti the voice. Well, now Hunter children can see we put this switch on. We put him in front of the camera this year time instead of behind the camera where all you Yeti the voice. This year time, this the filmmaker, my brother Christopher Area. How Hunter to do?
I'm doing well, Queen.
All right.
Doing well.
Good to see you. Good to
Good to see you.
And especially on this year occasion.
Yeah.
So finally, Wilmington on Fire is hot and sizzling. It's out.
Yeah. Yes.
Excellent. So how does it feel that the film is finally out?
Oh man, this is like I think our fifth time screening this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going well. You know, sold out shows, pretty
Yes.
much every screening since November.
That's powerful.
I'm excited. I didn't expect
That
people
kinda,
to come
yeah.
out like that.
Especially for a documentary,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
But just it's overwhelming. You know
That's
what I'm
all
saying?
right.
But I'm loving the support.
That is great. And it's good to have us supporting each
Exactly,
other.
exactly.
And especially supporting each other for what some would say is a heavy topic.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And so now, this is such an interesting thing where we are right now. One, because we are right now in Wilmington, North Carolina, in North Kakalaki, the city where all this took place, the massacre of 1898 took place. But we're actually in the Keenan Auditorium.
Yes.
I think that's a good jumping off spot right there. Now tell me, who is this building named after that we're sitting?
Pretty much the building is named after the wife of one of the people who was actually involved in the massacre. He pretty much, kind of I would say, I guess the Keenan Foundation pretty much said, hey, let's put this building in the name of his wife instead of just putting his name on it.
His name on it.
But it's his money.
It's still, of course, it's
You know
his
what I'm
money.
saying?
Right.
Doing the massacre, stealing property and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, this is the building, and he has plenty of buildings. I think he has
Really?
another building on the campus as well.
Named for him as well?
UNC Chapel as well. That's the thing. The guys who did this massacre, they became like so-called big philanthropists across the state.
Of course, because
A
they
lot
could
of-
afford to, right?
Exactly. So
Right.
a lot of your universities across the state have lots of buildings named after a lot of these guys involved in the
Absolutely.
massacre.
Well, we know that throughout the South, throughout the U.S.,
Yes.
there are monuments to people who enslaved our ancestors, who brutalized, who killed, who murdered, raped, and pillaged. And not only raped and pillaged financially in the motherland, but then let's talk about right here
Yeah.
in the Gullah Geechee Nation.
Yeah.
Most people will approach me and ask me questions about the South Carolina Sea Islands,
Yeah.
or they'll ask about the Georgia Sea Islands because they have no knowledge of the fact that where we're sitting is
Yeah.
still part of the Gullah Geechee Nation.
Exactly, exactly.
We're south of Jacksonville, North
Yeah.
Carolina, actually in Wilmington, Cape Fear region. And so my thing is, with your film, the Cape Fear has taken on new life for me.
Yeah.
Because that term, fear, is not something I have in my life.
Yeah.
But I could see why so many people that are in Wilmington have it, that I've encountered of our people.
Yes.
And why when I've even said to many of them, well, ain't Hunter Till in the Gullah Geechee, anything like that, oh no, I heard of them before. Oh no, my grandmama was, because we not really from here. We were from Charleston and migrated here. And I think that was during the second wave of people.
You're right.
So let's talk about who was here as a people of African descent after chattel enslavement, but yet right at this time of Reconstruction when the massacre
Well,
hit.
Wilmington back then, before the 1898 massacre, was a majority black city. You had a so-called biracial government. A lot of black business owners, and especially a lot of black landowners as well.
Right.
Teachers, a few politicians, city aldermen. Like you said in the film, especially fishermen and shrimping, shrimping people as well. Had some thriving
Major industry.
seafood. Yeah, seafood was a
Yeah.
major industry because of the port.
Absolutely.
So you had all these mixtures of African American people, whether it was the seafood industry, the construction industry, because a lot of the old houses downtown,
built.
a lot of them
Exactly.
built them. I think,
Designed and
about
built.
the Howe family. They were big time builders of
Okay.
houses in Wilmington. I think the Sagewars as well.
Wow.
They built a lot of the historic
The
houses that are
historic
still here
houses.
today.
Wow.
Downtown Wilmington. So you had a mixture of all of that before Wilmington until the 1898
1898 massacre happened. Now it's interesting you said the houses are still here today, but now let's talk about what we're talking about, that shift of wealth that we've touched on.
Yeah.
So who has those houses in their possession
When
today?
you go to those, when I first started doing the film, I actually did that. I checked out, because you can look up a lot of these old houses that are still today. They're the same addresses if you look in the 1897
Gotcha.
city directory. And
Right.
a lot of those houses in the historic district are still there.
Are still standing.
And so I would just go there and either call the phone or knock on the door, see who's
Right.
living
See
there.
who lives there.
And majority of people who are there are white. But the thing is, majority of them weren't born here.
Well, I was
They're
going
like
to ask
implants,
that.
you know, they're from
Yeah,
like,
the transplants from
yeah,
cities and things
Oregon,
now.
all over
Yeah.
the country, you know, Oregon, New York, Raleigh,
Right.
you know, so, and then also, a funny thing is, ever since we've been showing the film, I've had a few people, especially white folk, hit me up saying that they actually started to research the deeds.
Oh, really? Of the houses now?
Yeah, I guess,
Wow.
I guess it shook them up. Like,
Yeah,
hold on.
but that's a good shaking
yeah,
up.
so we're getting that rolling. Like, I
Right.
think about 10 people have hit me up already.
Really?
Yeah, saying they're actually going to start looking.
Researching the deed to
like,
see who
yeah.
were the owners
Exactly.
back before
Exactly. See,
1898.
before they even saw the film, they didn't do it.
They didn't do
care.
that.
They just
Right, they just got it from
bought
whoever they got it
Yes.
from, and I'm good.
Yes.
But now tell me, what's their point of doing it?
Yeah.
Like right now, you're gonna research it for research's sake?
Yeah.
Or you're gonna research it because you wanna find those families and return it? No, oh, okay,
It's
all right.
researching it,
So
I
it's
guess,
research for research's sake?
Yeah, research sake and maybe to hide the fact.
Oh,
Find a
who?
way to, yeah. Because they're not going to get it from.
Actually, I'll give you another tip on that. I really suspect that what they want to research it for is part of the industry that has displaced Gullah Geechees, not only from this city, but in other places. And that is so that they can be part of the heritage tourism industry. Especially being here, staying in a hotel here.
Yeah.
I don't often turn on the television.
Yeah.
But I turned it on, and the first channel that comes on is the Wilmington channel to tell you what all to go see as a tourist. And what type of destruction meant, I know y'all call it development, I call it destruction meant, that is planned for that whole port area.
Oh, yeah.
And how much they've been working on it since
Oh,
the
yeah.
80s and all of this. So my thing is, if I find out that I own a house that's tied to this very popular documentary now, and it's tied to this pre-1898 story, I can do house tours and I can make money. And that's,
And I think
now,
I've seen
yeah.
a few houses actually, they do that. You know, they'll put a
Uh-huh.
plaque on there and I think they'll do the little tours.
Tour.
Yeah, yeah. Do they do that a lot in?
Yeah, all
They do,
over.
yeah.
The thing about it is, it's like they say, it's not what you do, it's how you do it.
Yeah.
Now, it's one thing if you were doing this in conjunction with descendants of who that house belonged to, and let them tell the whole truth,
Yeah, they're
let
not
them tell the whole
involved.
story, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
If you were doing the tours, so that you say, well, all the funds from the tours go into a scholarship fund, or go into a community educational building fund, or this African American museum that y'all been supposedly building for 11 years in Wilmington.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to tell y'all need to get a move on with that. Here it is, let me donate all the funds to that. Then I would say, okay, that's a good purpose. But otherwise, it seems to be a self-serving, capitalistic purpose. And so now when we talk about the downtown, someone will say, well, everybody there before 1898 was engaged in capitalism because they had shops and all of this kind of thing. And I know one of the things the film points out is those shops weren't segregated.
No. Those, yeah, white, black. Like I said, it was
Right.
kind of like a biracial city. almost,
all
you
the
know.
way around.
Yeah, all the way around through the government, through
And
the business owners and
economics.
everything. But you saw in
Right.
the massacre, you know, you had a lot of black businesses, especially the downtown Front Street area.
Right.
After the massacre, it's down like 2.
Wow. Are there any there now?
You got a few, you got a couple of barber shops down there.
Okay.
I think I got one guy, he might be here tonight, he has a sneaker store down there.
Okay.
You got a couple of places,
Just
yeah,
here,
but this is the
here and
point,
there.
this is the thing though, they don't own the building.
Right, they're renting the
Yeah.
building.
So they can get, I know one guy, I think he has a business down there,
Right.
but they got the for sale sign up, but he's
Oh,
renting.
but he's
So it's
renting.
like, you know, and that's the thing, that's the difference.
So he can be
1898.
displaced again.
Exactly. And all the black businesses down there can be displaced anytime.
Right.
Because they're just renting.
Exactly.
But before 1898, they actually owned it.
Ownership.
Yeah, they actually owned it.
That's why the deed searches are
Exactly.
going on, to show who owned it
But you still only have a handful of black businesses.
in this whole city.
You know, it's a period.
Right.
But downtown, you know, a couple here and
A
there.
couple here and
Yeah,
there.
but throughout the whole city, like I said, you're outside of barbershops and hair salons.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Right, no, but that's what we
But
have.
yeah, that's mostly, but that's anywhere.
Right, and I was gonna say, in most black communities, you find those in the undertaker.
Yeah, in a few
Yeah, in the
restaurants and
restaurant.
funeral home.
Right,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
So now, tell me something, it's an interesting dynamic because if we're saying before, they were side by side,
Yeah.
white business, black business, white business, black business, then what is the reason that in 1898, so-called, some people say race riot, we say massacre, would occur? Because if you're saying it's an integrated city at that time, then what's going on?
But you had the whole, see, that was a part of the fusion movement. There was whites and blacks working together, but you still had that democratic side of, white supremacy. They wanted to change all that.
Right.
And, we can't, lay it out, plain and simple, with documentation to show, that a lot of these guys behind this were lawyers.
Right.
As well. And they for years.
And they used the law to their benefit.
They used the law to their benefit.
Right.
And they were able to so-called take back the city as well. But see, even though we had this fusion movement here, you still had a large population of Democrats back then too.
Right.
At the time.
At the time.
That were really heavy white supremacists.
And see, it's interesting because somebody watching, I know y'all done said, they still do. I got you. So this is the thing. A lot of people are confused because you would say Democrats now. Yes, he means in the U.S. Congress. Now we're going to give you a little homework to check and see what, in 1898 now, who was on what side as far as which race dominated which one of those parties. I'm going to leave that for homework. And I know easy way you can do your homework is you can come see this film, wherever it's going to be shown. Ha-ha. But you got the internet, you got all this stuff, because otherwise Son of Children wouldn't be to watch this shit. You got YouTube in it. Okay. So just go on Google, open another window, and I want you to do the homework. Because I know y'all sitting here like, wow. And in a year like this, an election year, and we're using this terminology that's still around, but you mentioning this whole backdrop and this story and how that exploded into what became a massacre, a bloodbath that now has disenfranchised people, families for generations, that has not been restored. Those families haven't been restored to the city. The businesses haven't been restored. So tell me, ultimately with this film, when you take it around, that's great that people are researching these. But what was in your mind? What is it that you hope? Like if you had your top 3 things that would come from this film, what would those be?
I would say one, for especially our people, know our history. We got to know the origin of what we're dealing with.
Yes.
That's one of the things I want people to get, especially our people.
Yes.
2, they show the importance of reparations, not only just for this event, but all the events, all the atrocities, slavery all the way up, till now, because the stuff is still going on, even with the Gullah Geechee people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? With, they're taking your land, all these different things.
Yeah,
so I'm talking about, slavery,
and using the same methodology,
exactly.
Having lawyers manipulate folks.
Exactly. It's like they're using the same thing. And that's another reason why I wanted to say, the origin, show the origin of how this stuff hasn't changed.
Right.
We have to
much
know,
as things change, they remain the same. Right.
Exactly. And that's why I wanted to make this documentary to show, okay, if we're going to fight this thing, we got to know how to start. The origin, so we can kind of, see where they made mistakes at. So now we can take, use those mistakes and turn it against them. Right. So we know how to fight.
Be a
fight
strategist.
the system.
Be a
Exactly.
strategist.
Yeah, that's pretty much the main reason I did this film, to use it as a strategy. Okay. So we can, move forward as a people and do what we have to do. Especially reclaiming land, starting businesses, and, strengthening our communities.
Right. And see, so definitely, y'all heard it. We're giving you a bunch of homework assignments because after you see the film, these are the things that you need to know. You need to come to this film, not just sitting there trying to play on the slide on your phone. You need to come with a notebook and a pencil. I know some of y'all don't know what that is. A notebook and a pencil, some paper, pencil, pen to take notes. Because if you're going to do strategic planning, you need to have a plan. You need to write things down. There's a lot of things you'll gain from this. And I'm not just saying it for Wilmington on Fire, but a lot of times when there's a Black History film at any time of year, and Black History Month is 365 days of the year or 366 days of the year, you need to be taking notes. You need to discuss that in the family. You need to discuss that underneath the oak tree and things like that. You will be sitting down to the table, you're drinking whatever. Y'all need to talk about these things so that then you can then say, okay, this is what happened. Like you said, this is the origin, is the root of it. But now how do we combat it? How do we go forward, as Brother Christopher said? So not watch it for watching's sake, and then just keep on with life as usual.
Yeah, because see, I just didn't want to just make a movie just for people just to watch it. That's it. If that was the case, I could have just did like a horror film. So,
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Comedy. Yeah, I did this for for us to learn something and use it as a tool.
Right.
To strengthen ourselves as a people.
Absolutely. And tools don't jump out the toolbox. You got to reach in there, get them, and then do what you got to do.
Exactly.
So now it's wonderful that you reached into your own personal resources because you believed in this so much and you believed in needing to get this story out here. So as you mentioned, you were already done 5 screenings here in Wilmington. Where's the next place? I mean, how many other screenings? How would people know, like, where else it's going to go? I have viewers worldwide. How can they keep up with where you're going to be after this?
Well, we're getting the website done right now. That's WilmingtonOnFire.com.
All right,
But for
excellent.
right now, you can check out, pretty much get all the updates on Facebook.com/WilmingtonOnFire. Facebook.com/WilmingtonOnFire. We got Charlotte coming up next Saturday, January 30th at Crossroads Charter High School.
Wonderful.
And then February 1st, we got Goldsboro, North Carolina, at Paramount Theater.
Okay.
And February 5th, we got Durham at the Haytime Heritage Center.
All right. Oh, yeah, I spoke at Haytime many years ago. Excellent. I'm glad.
So those are the 3 coming up, but we're constantly getting, we're coming,
Yeah, and we're coming down to
yeah.
St. Helena in March. We're also trying to connect them in Charleston in March. So we're going to be posting all of those things so that you can keep up with it at Gullah Geechee Nation's fan page and Wilmington on Fire. As soon as you type it into Facebook, trust me, it will pop right up. Keep up. Also, Wilmington on Fire on Twitter, right?
Yes.
Yep. So you can also
Wilmington 1898.
Wilmington 1898. So Wilmington 1898 on Twitter and on Instagram too.
Yeah, Wilmington on Fire on Instagram.
There it is. I knew one of the 2 of those was at Wilmington on Fire. So if you're on Instagram, it's at Wilmington on Fire. If you're on Twitter, it's Wilmington 1898. If you're on Facebook, Wilmington on Fire. Trust me, the name is correct. This outfit ain't dry long Sawyer is hot, all right? So this is the hot thing we need to be talking about. We need to be tweeting. We need to be having this be like the phoenix and have this city raised from these ashes and have our people re-enfranchised here. Not only financially, but mentally and spiritually, because people got disenfranchised because of a massacre in 1898. This is 2016, and this story is finally just really getting exposed to a mass audience. Many people from North Carolina knew it, but elsewhere, folks
But you'd be
were
surprised how many people here, even in Wilmington,
Really?
they've heard of a few things here and there because
yeah,
we've had a few
people had the
books.
hush mouth.
Yeah, either the hush mouth or they say, yeah, I heard about something about 1898, some similar words, but they didn't know the deal.
They didn't know the
Get
details.
the real details.
Right.
People have written books, but a lot of times
People don't read it. Yeah, there's that statement
because
again.
people just don't
hiding
read
in
it
the book.
anymore
Yeah.
in general. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So, and that's another reason why I decided not to do a book. I was thinking about doing it.
Oh,
First
really?
did it, yeah. But I was like, you know what? No one really reads books anymore.
That's not true. There are a lot of us.
It's a lot of people.
Files,
Yeah, it's a lot of people.
that
But I think you gotta I would say I think I would have reached the masses more. Like I
Yes, with this.
And that's why I said, you know what? Because like I said, people have written books about this.
Right.
But I don't think they've had the reach.
Yeah, that the
thus
film
far.
will.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
that the films had it already.
Yeah,
It's kind of impacted
Exactly.
already.
So I was like, you know what? Let me do it in a documentary form and,
Right.
and mix the styles up a little bit. And people like yourself and mix a good mixture of people.
Yeah.
Bring it to life.
Right.
You guys really brought the film to life.
So I appreciate being a part of it. But I tell you, consider this. At least do a companion piece to it because it helps a great deal with
And that's what we're
educating.
doing. Yeah. Now
Yeah.
we're going to start probably filming that this summer. We're going to do the
I mean,
sequel.
written.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
doing it. I'm actually starting that next month, like a study guide.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I'll get up with you as well.
Perfect,
Because I want to add the Gullah Geechee history.
Yeah, elaborate
Yes.
more on it.
Yes,
Yeah.
and also, this summer I'm gonna start doing the sequel, follow up.
Yes.
And because it's more to the story, and I want to
Yeah.
bring you back and a few other people, and
Definitely.
really talk about those lasting effects here in Wilmington today. And
Yeah.
I'm looking, and I'm also going to kind of film it differently as well. It's going to be more artistic.
Artistic.
Instead of the talking head stuff.
Right.
It's going to be more artistic and verite style.
Okay.
And my boy Dante.
Yeah.
He's a big time cinematographer in LA now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but he's coming back to do
Oh, he's coming back.
to do the sequel for it.
Okay.
So, yeah, he's doing the honestly.
Yeah, it's been years since I've seen him.
Yeah, he's signed with a big major agency out in Hollywood.
From London, what happened. All right,
He's
so that's
doing
good.
big movies and everything.
And everything.
But he still wants to work
He
with
wants to work with you.
Yeah,
That's
so,
excellent.
yeah.
That is
So the
excellent.
next film is going to top the first
Top
one.
this one.
Even though the first one's good, it's still the top.
That's how you're supposed to do. You're always supposed to go higher and higher. So this is so wonderful. So definitely we want y'all to stay tuned because we are going to raise your consciousness in the next part of this episode because you get a chance to hear us panelists talk about this film and the difference it's made in terms of taking the whole social aspect into the arts. And so it is a blessing to know this just the first one, it ain't going to be the last. And so we're so glad if I have Brother Christopher Everett, where y'all can see the face now, and y'all can go back on GullahGeecheeNation.com, and you can go to Gullah Geechee Rhythm Radio and hear some of the radio interviews, and we got more to come, because there's a whole lot more to story.
Yeah, let's set
to
up
be told.
let's set up one song.
Oh,
To
yeah.
kind of follow up this.
Definitely.
Yeah, let's
Got to do it. Got to do it. So, Hunter Chillin, when you deal with me, Hunter know this year the what going on.
Okay.
All right. So, Hunter Chillin, I got one of the other rest of people who did this year film too, right? So, with me at the premiere this year, the Ken Chatfield, a native of Wilmington, North Carolina. Now, no, he ain't the Gullah Geechee. You can look at him and tell Lanny. Okay. But yet, he is one of the homeboys right here in Wilmington. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Now tell me, how does this feel for you for this documentary to finally be out, for this story to finally be out, given that you are a native of Wilmington?
Well, I'm glad it's finally coming out. I first went public with my research in 2004, and the state just basically ignored it.
Really?
Yes. I appeared before the Race Riot Commission twice with my research,
Right.
and they included about that much of it in their 600-page report. It's buried in the middle of it.
With all of that, the boxes of records that
That's
you
right.
have,
That's
and they
right.
reduced it down to a few sentences.
That's right.
Incredible. So I guess now being able to have your voice out there, being able to actually show the documentation, this is like a dream come true.
Yes, it is. And in fact, I told the commission if they did not research this properly and
Right.
put it in their report,
Yeah.
that one day I would come back and do something just like this.
And now the
that's
day is the day.
exactly what I did.
Yes, well
Because
that's
I'm mad at
good.
my work.
So that I was getting ready to say, you don't make idle threats.
No.
See, so this is...
I make promises.
You're gonna make promises and stick to it.
That's right.
See, and that makes all the difference in the world. Well, tell me something. I was talking to the filmmaker, Christopher Everett,
Yes.
about how Wilmington once was and how Wilmington is now in terms of economics and land ownership and business ownership. Now, a lot of people look at you and I, or look at, Chris and you standing there, and they'll say, well, you're in a whole nother world here in Wilmington. How do you see it in terms of race relations, how they were through your research versus how they are today?
Well, today, beginning as of November 10th, 1898, Wilmington became the new capital city of the reconstructed Confederate States of America.
Wow.
And it has never changed. It
Up to this
still is,
moment.
up to this moment. We know for a fact they took over government on November 10th, 1898.
Right.
We have a definite date.
Right.
No one has ever been able to give me a definite date when that coup was overthrown.
Gotcha. Right.
When's that date?
When is that? You haven't found that in your
Because we
research.
haven't reached it yet.
There you go.
They're still
Right.
there.
They're still there.
They're still there.
So, God willing, one of the outcomes of this film will really shed some light on this man.
Absolutely.
And maybe cause some people to look at that, to look at the fact that a coup d'etat still holds. A government that took over by force is still in place.
Yes, and then what they did was they segregated us.
Because it wasn't the case.
That's right. They divided us as a people and then taught their children that was the natural order of things.
Ah, gotcha.
And not only did they teach the white children that, but they taught the black children
They taught
that.
all
So
children.
that when people were born, the society was already segregated, and it was like natural to them. And even though we've broken down the state-sanctioned segregation, our society
It's
is
still
still segregated.
segregated.
And you can see the detrimental economic effect of that. Because when we leave behind one segment of our society, it harms our society as a whole.
Right, that's like getting cancer. You don't just get a little bit and it's just in one spot. It can creep through the whole body.
Exactly.
Right.
And I got a little spiel that I do about this, about the economic inequality, and I try to make it real simplistic. In 1865, when the Union conquered the South,
Right.
the Civil War had bankrupted the United States. The United States did not pay off the debt to the Civil War until 1916. It took 51 years for the United States to pay off the debt from the Civil War, just from the Civil War.
Right.
Okay? And so, in 1865, everybody was broke.
Right.
Everybody.
Everybody's going
Black and
bankrupt.
white equally. So
Right.
when the Union forced the white Southern man to recognize that black men had rights, which they never really did. They were forced to do so at the end of a bayonet, because the South just didn't give up. They were conquered.
A lot of them still haven't.
That's right. They never did give up.
Right.
They were conquered. But economically, in 1865, black man and white man were economically equal, and together they rose together equally.
Right.
And by 1898, everybody was economically equal, and socially they were equal and everything. And then after November 10th, 1898, what you saw was
Split and
this.
down. Yeah, split and down. Yeah.
So then in 1964,
Oh, yeah.
when the federal government came back down to the South again, and again forced the black man to recognize that the black man had rights, which they never really did recognize that they had these rights.
Right.
Okay.
Some still don't.
They still don't.
Right.
But when they forced them to, economically, the whites were here and the blacks were here.
Right.
And basically, this is what the white man said. Here's your rights. We don't believe that you have. We're forced to recognize. Now pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Here's some crumbs. Here's some food stamps. Here's a little bit of Section 8 housing. Now shut up and go away and drag yourself up. So what the reality of that has been is this. The white people have done this economically, and the black people have done this.
Right.
And if we keep going further down, but they've not done this.
Right.
So our
There's no
policy has failed.
Absolutely.
Okay, the black man has not done this. So what we really need to do economically in the United States to make it an even playing field is we need to do this.
Right. And you're
And
talking
put
about
it
wealth
back to-
distribution now.
that's right.
And you're talking about land distribution.
And talking about
real
reparations,
assets. and
restitution.
And restitution.
Restitution.
And see, and that's a critical point that y'all have to see Wilmington on Fire to really hear the deeper discussion. If you think that Kent went deep, like he told you, he just gave you really the Reader's Digest version. When you come and see the film, then you will see the research, you will see the documentation in the documentary that tells us why he's saying what he's saying. Like I often tell people, if you don't write it down, it never happened. That's how the Western world thinks. It's not written down, it never happened. So now there's paperwork, it's been here, it's been uncovered, it's showing on the big screen with Wilmington on fire. And as I said to you before, it's hot. And so you know this is a hot topic about wealth distribution, land ownership, reparation. We can take all three of those and all those burn folks to even get into the discussion. But there are some of us who want some truth telling done. And that's why we're in the documentary. So Hunter Chillin, make sure, keep up with that website we're going to see going by on the bottom of the screen, and that way you can know where else we're moving to with Wilmington on Fire. We gonna set it off and let it burn this time and get some folks moving, because if you get enough fire behind you, trust me, you'll move. Thank you, Kent, for all your research and for being a man of your word. Keep it going. This way. Hunter Chillin, if you deal with me, Hunter, no, this year, what going on?